Well, a few months after the death of Darwin College student Sylvester Oromani, another big Lagos private school is in the news for the wrong reasons. Chrisland schools, one of the biggest schools in Lagos State in southwest of Nigeria, had its students feature in a sporting event in Dubai. A video of about 7 of these students' sexual romp had made the rounds on social media, and Nigerians have been reacting. Now, the mother of the girl in the video alleged other students of rape. Now, parenting, psychology, and the roles of the school and guardian in child development have once again become important topics which we have discussed before on VSA. Welcome to VSA. I'm Sulaiman. So in what's gotten Nigerians talking over the last 24 hours, students of Chrisland schools were seen on tape in what looked like having sex while on a sports event in Dubai. Now, the video according to the school was made after a truth or dare game by the students. The videos didn't surface until a month after they were made, while the school had also suspended the students involved, including a girl who was tagged a main actor by the school. The girl's parents accused the school authority of taking the girl involved for a series of pregnancy tests without informing her parents. According to allegations by the girl's mother, the school lied that the student was taken to the hospital for COVID-19 test. While her rape allegations are being investigated by the Lagos State Police Command, the schools have been shot, and the head teacher, including the parent and others, have been invited to the station. What is more shocking is that the videos of the girl, said to be 10 years old, have since surfaced online as Nigerians have raised an eyebrow on her mother's allegations and the content of the video. Nigerians say that the video don't look like a rape case, and the man who initially blew the whistle had gone on to apologize. Well, joining me on the show today is Laila St. Matthew Daniel, executive coach, counselor, and psychotherapist. And with me live in the studio is Dr. Omobolaji Oyebanjo Popoola, consultant psychiatrist, consultant in addiction medicine in the United States. Good to see you live here in the studios, and thanks for finding time to join us.
Thank you for having me here.
And Laila St. Matthew Daniel, thank you very much. As always, you both have been speaking on this, and it's not a good thing that we're back again to this, but again, it looks more like what we saw coming when you both spoke about parenting. Let's start with you, Laila. I don't know if you've seen the video. It's a video a lot of people have been running away from. Some that have seen it say it doesn't look like rape. But again, do you think, were you surprised with what we are dealing with at the moment?
I lost you in, do I think that what?
No, I had to rephrase that. Were you surprised with the new, allegation with Chrisland schools that we're dealing with at the moment?
Well, the thing is this, that Chrisland School unfortunately has a reputation based on something that happened a couple of years back, where a teacher was alleged to have raped, had carnal knowledge of a 2 or 3 year old, and eventually was sentenced. And then this happening right now again, and then so you hear again Chrisland College. It's given a lot of us cause for concern, and it's the trending news now, because parents, young parents, grandmothers, grandfathers, because like for me now, I have grandchildren of that age and older, and they're young parents with that. So it's a very disturbing situation, although it has happened before where such a thing has come out online, but I think it's even worse, this one that I did not actually see it, but when I went on Google or on Twitter to try to find out, because there were conflicting stories, rape, not rape, she's this, she's that, or they are that. And from what I saw, I may be wrong, it was no rape. You understand? But I guess you are going to ask some more questions. So let me give you time to carry on.
No, that will come so that we'll dig in deep, because two key issues here, parenting and school management. Let's come to you, Dr. Popoola, and looking at what we're dealing with at the moment, how would you describe what we're going through? Because it's been going back and forth, and now we have three categories of, let's personalize them, personalities: the Lagos State government, the school, and the parents. But this looks more like something that is out there. It looks like Chrisland is just one of the many things we're dealing with.
I think we're dealing with the fruits, the root issues that ought to be addressed. Many children have been exposed to so many things in the past few years that parents are just beginning to imagine, or authorities are just beginning to catch up with. With the advent of internet, or let's say cell phone, where children could get on the net and before you know it, they are involved with pornography and all sorts of things. We actually invited the world into our living rooms, into our bedrooms. And so I think that parents, school authorities, the government are just catching up with the reality of what I have been saying for years in the clinic. I mean, there are many times I see patients and they walk out and I'm like, oh my God, is this happening in this world? With the sexting was on about 10 years ago. That's old story now. They have all this Tinder, all this various dating apps where
if you don't mind, maybe you can break it down so that people can understand what sexting means.
Okay, sexting is when people send sexually explicit videos or images of their body across their cell phones. Or that has been going on for years. As far as sexting has been on, that has been going on for like 10, 15 years. So I guess as a psychiatrist, I came across that 10, 15 years ago, and I knew that we were in trouble. Because children first didn't understand the implication, they didn't understand the reach. There were initially no policies to guide them. It was happening in schools, and some children even committed suicide because their boyfriend or girlfriend exposed their personal image. So all these things have been going on. And, as we've said repeatedly, you have mental health, you have drugs, just throw everything in there. All they need to do is go to a party, get a little bit high, all sorts of sexual things happening. So I'm not surprised. I think what's happening is that we are reacting to stuff. What we have to sit down to do is to sit down and try to properly understand what is actually going on with the children. We need to understand what's out there, the ills out there, so that we bring experts together and we start to write policies that will protect and guide the youth. Because what we used to about when does inappropriate touching become rape? Have we properly defined it to the students? Is it just going to be somebody who says, okay, I think this is rape, I think this is not rape? We can't do that. We have to give very clear guidelines and help the students understand what is right and what is not right, and set guidelines so that everybody is on the same page.
And Laila, I want you to also weigh in on this, but quickly here, listening to one of the key things you both have said, it comes again to parenting and, school management system. So we live a communal life, and this is upon us. So perhaps it's good to ask if there is a major shift in parenting standards, considering where we're coming from as a society.
myself. I muted myself. Let me put it like this. There are 3 tiers, as was said. The first is the parenting. The next is the school itself, and then of course the governing bodies or the bodies that look after the schools. Let's talk about labels. Parenting is where it all starts. From the age of 0 to 7 plus, 8, a child's approach to life, the way the child is going to handle situations in life, it's already been programmed there through the 5 senses, which is the smell, the touch, the taste, the sight, and what is the 5th one again? Yeah. All the 5 senses is what is used. So whatever nurturing is required to get a child into the program that is required to be able to handle things that come at them, it's that period. So what are they seeing? What are they hearing? What are they smelling? What are they listening to? Because you see, parents think these children are not savvy. But they, as each year comes, as we go into each year, we find each decade, we find that because of the digital age, because of the technological age, we're talking about Generation Alpha here. We call them Generation Alpha. I even asked that, is it that we should stop them from having all these smartphones and smart this and smart that? Because they are so savvy that they know what to do. And even if one person does not know what to do it, they get somebody else to do it for them. But then I say it is the parents, whatever morals you instill into a child from that age 0 plus to 8 is what will take them into the tweens, to the teens, and then as they become young adults, before they become matured adults. Something has gone wrong in parenting. You see, when things like this happen, everybody just runs kitty kitty and kata kata. You understand? This group is saying this, that group is saying this, but like has been said, it's been going on for a long time. You understand? We've seen this, and I said it earlier. It happened when my last daughter was about 15, 16. She's in her 30s now, and there was something like this that happened, but it was a 16-year-old, and it was put on the internet. The internet does not forget. But what I saw, like I said, I did not see the full stretch, because whenever things like this come up, before I respond, it took me like 48 hours, because I needed to dig. So I do not, react. I have to respond. And I just saw snippets of things. And one thing for sure is that group of young people from the age of 10, I think, to 13 have been exposed to sexting or whatever it is that they call it. They've been exposed to full performance of the sexual act, because they were, the little I saw, they were very blasé about it. I hear there is more to it. I told the person I don't even want to know anything about it. So it starts from the parents. It's about time that parents, we talk about parenting 2020, 2021. We make a lot of noise, but the parents are not listening. The parents are not doing things about it. You cannot check the responsibility and put it on the schools. Whatever you have put in place is what will be nurtured in school. But then, are the schools really are they aware, like during my time, that it's not only academic excellence? Morals is what, the basics of morals, it's what will then lead to values. Each individual will be able to work on their values. So the morals aspect of it is missing. A lot of schools don't have proper guidance counseling. Last time something like that happened when the Ikoyi, the school, if you remember, Sule, they went on holiday, I think, the end of year holiday, and they were coming down Ribadu Road, and they were actually going to gang rape girls in broad daylight around 3 p.m. They had scissors, they had blades, to gang rape them, but somebody on that street, a woman came out and everybody came out. It became a court case. But guess what? The parents of the boys were standing and saying, they want to spoil the destiny of the boys, and they forgot about the girls. Till today, Lagos State has not let us know what is happening. So Lagos States themselves, they make a lot of noise. There was the one about QC, and this is just a terrible one. I said that if we were going to do it the proper way, that girl and the boys, it's not just suspending them. They must get professionals who know how to deal with child forensic interviewing, to find out, it's not just for the school, to find out who are the people who are part of the abuse that went on with that girl and those boys. That is what we should be talking about as well. They do their own about the school, but forensic interviewing, child forensic interviewing must go on. I told someone, I said, all I need to do is to sit with those people, four of them, I guess, one at a time. And I will tell you where that girl got indoctrinated, where that boy got indoctrinated. That is what I'm saying.
Let me jump in here, because
I'm not passionate about it.
I know a lot of people are really, pained by this, and because in doing our job, we had to go through that horrific moment of going through, every detail so that we can come up. But now let's talk about supervision, which is very key here, and supervision on, the home front and in the school. Now, we have two cases rather, the school and the home. Listening to Laila, now she's painted a picture of, what she's been able to glean from the snippet she saw. Now, supervision is key. Where do we start from? The first interaction of every child is a home, isn't it?
Yes, and I remember that I spoke to one of my patients one day, patient's mother, and I said to her, if you had to do it again, when is the time the child needs the most supervision? She said, well, what they really need in the first 10 years is really keeping them safe. But what you need is those early teenage years when the hormones run wild. Most children are most impulsive between the ages of 10 and 14. When the hormones run wild, when they're subject to peer pressure, when they're experimenting with drugs, when they're trying to find out who they are. Many parents think that once the child is old enough to a certain age, they can go. No, they're in this world. They're dealing with the problems of this world. And the problems of this world, they are dynamic. And therefore, sexting wasn't a problem when I was growing up. But you know what? In this generation, it's a problem that is even past its due date. They've moved on to other things. So as a parent, the key thing is knowing your responsibility, not farming it up to school. When you want to send a child to school, I think this is the time you ask yourself, why am I sending this child to boarding house? What am I hoping to get? Because there's so many bad habits in the boarding house. I mean, the problems that the children these days have to face, we didn't have to face half of them. A lot of children are coming with different issues from different homes, different exposures on the internet, and you mix them together in school without adequate supervision. Even if you have a housemaster or a housemistress, is she going to sit with them in every conversation? So you, as a parent right now, the first question you really have to ask yourself, I'm sending that child to boarding house, what am I hoping that they will do? Am I farming out my parental responsibility or duties? Is this child strong enough to go in there and come back the same, or are they going to be followers? There are different things, like we said before, mental health, low self-esteem. There are many things that will make a child say, I just want to belong. Whatever you ask me to do, I will do because I want to belong. So parenting first has to ask oneself, why am I sending this child to boarding house? Why am I sending this child to, some parents send 12 years all the way to UK and US. Why am I sending this child to UK or US? Is this child's personality strong enough to ensure that they're going to be able to resist the ills that will come their way? Okay, so then I send them to school. What are the policies of the school? What is the supervision level? What is the punishment in place or the corrective measure in place just in case a child is being violated? What are the policies in place? Do they understand, do the students sign waivers knowing that if they violate another child's right, they will be terminated?
And sorry, quickly, let me jump in here. And these questions are also verifiable. The parent can actually get to see some of these things when he or she approaches the school of choice.
Exactly. And you want to make sure that they understand the responsibility on them, because you know what? When you put 10 and children between the age of 10 to 14, you're going to have a lot of raging hormones. So it is not for you to wait for it to happen. You have to be proactive. Where were chaperones? I used to chaperone my children in the US when they go on field trip. I chaperone the kids. I have to know where all the girls are. The girls cannot be on the same floor with the boys. There's a time that we have like that. Where are the chaperones? Before you sign your child up to a trip, who is going to be responsible for the kid? Are there any consequences to being violated? Do the children even understand what abuse is? You know, we talk about abuse, we talk about rape, we talk about all these things. Do they even understand what it is to know what violation of their personal space is? You know, those are things that schools have to teach the students, and the parents also have to teach their children. What is your personal space? What it is that will happen if somebody violates your personal. Many children don't even know what their personal boundaries are, and many people cannot approach the parent. And I always say, in this day and age, you know, parents have to. Parents are at a wit end. I don't want to keep bashing parents because life is hard enough as it is. Many of them are trying to make ends meet. But I think what is really needed is wisdom. You know, really, how am I going to run my family, then put a roof over their head? Those are the basic questions that parents have to be asking themselves. Am I doing this am I working this long hours for frivolous things? Or what is it that a child really needs now? You have to teach your children contentment. You know, so there are many things that parents are being faced with. But the parents must do their parenting part. The school must do their own duty to keep your word safe. It is time to ask, what are your policies? And it's time for the government as well to step in. If the parents fail and the school fail, what will the government do? Are there centers where all they do is to take reports? Are there policies guiding schools? What are the consequences to...
So in other words, there must be layers of checks.
Yes.
So the parents, the school, and maybe the regulator, which is, in this case, the government.
And before you send your child to school, ordinarily running a clinic that we don't even have kids staying overnight, we are seriously regulated. If somebody comes in there and they said they're abused, I don't have the power to say the child has been abused or not. What I do is I call a special team, and then they investigate and they determine whether it is true or false. Guess what? I am a mandated reporter. A teacher is a mandated reporter. We have all been trained. When you get a job, the first thing they do is to train you on how to identify signs of abuse. And then they give you the phone numbers you will call. So it's not for me to determine if it happened or not. Mine is, it doesn't look good, it doesn't look right, I will just make a phone call. And once that phone call is made, the agents and the agencies, they step in and they investigate the case on his own merit. And if they find that there's something wrong with it, then there are consequences, there are clear laws on what will happen to the school, the proprietress or the proprietor. So all these things are clear.
So before we go to Laila, quickly, I want you to expatiate this mandated reporting, line that you just told us about. In this case we're dealing with, it happened over a month ago, but the world, the country, the nation is just getting to know about this. So is it that there is a lack or gap in the reporting, which mandates someone who's in the know to let the authorities know of what he or she has found?
Yes, there is. I will say I think there's a gap, because one of the first things you know is that if any kid comes into, even if I think the child is gaming, if they say somebody slapped them or did something, the government has said it is not my duty to determine if it's right or wrong. The fact that it's been suspected, all I need to do if I want to keep my license as a physician, or as a therapist, or as a psychologist, or as a teacher, you must report. You don't have, you see, that's why that power to determine what's right or wrong has been taken away from me. All I have to do is report. And then they have expert teams who, with forensic psychologists or psychiatrists, they have the nurses who can take the proper rape kit and everything. And you know what? If they find out a month after that if somebody heard on day 2 and they didn't tell, everybody will be in trouble. And it's a very serious thing, but they have taken time out to craft this law so that everybody understands what signs of abuse look like. So it's not just me deciding, oh, it looks like, no. This child has come to me and said they've been abused. Or I saw this on this child and I suspect it's abuse. All I have to do is report. Then there's a team that goes in to verify. Sometimes they come out and say nothing happened. And sometimes they come out and say something. And let me say something. 1 in 4 teenagers girls will be abused.
1 in 4?
Yes. And 1 in 9 males will be victims of abuse. And it usually happens in familiar ground. So to imagine that is not happening is almost tantamount to sticking our heads in the sand. It is happening. We're just not checking the right places. This is definitely happening. If you look at statistics, for every 4 girls you see, 1 will be a victim of abuse.
Well, some startling, statistics there, and these are really times where a lot of people are in panic mode. But again, we have the experts here. When we come back from the break, they'll be telling us what parents and schools and even the government should be doing, and also the effect of social media and how dangerous is our world today for our children. That's when we return. Join us again. Well, if you just joined us, you're welcome. You're watching VSA here on News Center Television. We're talking about the trending and very disturbing issue in Nigeria of some students of a high school, of a college rather, that were involved in some very lewd and disturbing act. While the content of the video has been a major talking point, there have been few talks about the psychology of these children involved. Exposure to society and its ills have been major talking points, but addiction, the use of drugs, and the dangers ahead have so far been ignored. Before the break, Dr. Omobolaji did say that 1 in 4 female children are abused, and just as 1 in 9 male children, and that's some startling, statistics. The focus now is on the children and the way forward for them. Still with me here is Laila St. Matthew Daniel and Dr. Omobolaji Oyebanjo Popoola. Let's start with you, Laila, and talking about these, can actually bring home the pain we all share. How can these, parents, let's start with the parents now, handle the situation at the moment? And for others who are not in the thick of things, how can they also help to see that they are safe and can also look out for other children?
Well, the thing there is that the parents need to accept if they get to the point where they do not know what to do. But a lot of parents walk in denial. They give excuses for many things, and they think that a child of 8, a child of 9, 10, 11 does not know anything. They, as I said, they walk in denial. They don't know that this smartphone that they give the children to keep them busy, to keep them busy is really a tool that could have pluses or minuses. Because as I said earlier, in the digital age, they actually need to be at par. I told you they are called the Generation Alpha. We are the baby boomers, you understand? But at the same time, it's for parents to be on top of their game, i.e., they need to be smart too as well. They need to be able to understand that for them to be able to be at par with these children, they need to understand the techniques of the digital age. When I hear parents say, I'm not savvy in this area, I say to them, no, you need to be, or else your children will run circles around you. And there are applications that they can download, the parents can download to cut off any attempt to go into certain sites. And I repeat again that the control starts from the age of 0 to about 7.5 to 8. What they see, what they hear, what they touch. So what are you doing to be able to instill morals into the children? That is what parents need to ask themselves. What are you doing at home? What are you doing and saying that is either in sync or against the morals that should enable them to walk when they are tempted by their peers? I had one right in my own circle on Sunday. Do you understand? On Sunday, where we had to now explain, the thing there is for parents to be able to speak to the children, not as if they're talking down at them, but for them to be able to discuss, because rapport between the children and the parent is what brings trust. If you are always on the attack, if you're always willing to see negativity, they will not tell you anything. But when you yourself will understand that there are things happening, it's a fast-paced society that we're in, then you must be able to discuss with them. Not wanting to talk about the birds and the bees. It's not about the birds and the bees anymore. You must call everything the way it is, but be able to explain it. There are different levels of sexual explanations from the age of 2 to 5, from 5 to 10, from 10 to 15. And there are people who are qualified to do all of this. They are called child protection consultants. What they do is to go into schools and they determine gaps in the school administration and the staff's current knowledge. I wrote it down, of child protection best practices and procedures. They help the schools to put this into place. And then they come in about once a month to find out what is happening. I'm sure if Chrisland had one of these consultants on ground, they're called child protection and safeguarding consultants, before it exploded, because they handled the whole thing wrongly. From March They kept quiet and they started playing games. That is the problem, Sule, with our own people. They try to cover up very serious situations. And as the lady said earlier on about the reports this, the report that, well, I don't know, maybe I'm not in the same space. Because you see, you report and you find that the response time to the reporting and the implementation time is not in sync. There's disparity there.
I'll jump in there. Let me jump in there. I'll let you land on this, but let me jump in there. Yes, truly, you both are not in the same space. She's talking about where she's based in the United States, and you're talking about Nigeria.
I thought as much. Okay, we're talking about Nigeria right now, so I can only talk about Nigeria and what we hope. What she's talking about is what we keep fighting over the past 25 years. As rightfully said, 1 in 4 children are abused. 1 in 4 women are beaten and nearly killed. 1 in 9. So it's like the same ratio that is happening. And until we get people in authority as well to take this very, very seriously, until we get schools to understand that it's not just about academic excellence, it has to do with morals as well. Look at it now. Look at what happened in Dubai. What school is being talked about? It's Chrisland. You understand? It's not about the surname of the girl, it's Chrisland. And schools, especially private schools, must begin to recognize this. We used to, it was very important in those days, but something has gone amiss. The quest for money, the quest for so many things that is, material things has covered it up. And that's the same thing about the parents. My heart goes out to parents. It's a lot more difficult. But then again, parents need to prioritize on things that are important and things that are not important. We are a country where we've become very materialistic, and we need to swing that paradigm. There must be a paradigm shifting to quality and qualitative values. And this will come when we start putting in place morals. It's not money that brings about morals. A poor person coming from a poor background, trying to put things together, you understand, can instill morals. You find people from certain backgrounds who say, I mustn't do this or else this. But you find that a lot of people who misbehave too as well are from money backgrounds, where people are busy chasing after money and they just give the kids, things to do, smartphones, Apple. If you see some kids with laptops, you'll wonder that you are still working to get even the ordinary laptop. So parents must be on guard as well. It's not now they start running helter-skelter. The schools must begin to realize that it's not just about academic prowess. It is that the children are passing through the school. And no matter what they do in future, it will always be there, the schools that they went through. Then the government should be more interested in what is going on there. So it's processes and procedures. But before I end this, my input here, schools need to talk about child protection and safeguarding consultants, guidance and counseling in schools, because sometimes they will not be able to see certain things. The teachers will not be able to penetrate. But when this external person comes in, children actually talk. I get that a lot. I hear things and, that they wouldn't tell their parents. So it's taking responsibility. It starts from the home and then it continues in school. The government can only come in with the policies and procedures they will put in place. Do you understand?
All right, then.
So that is it.
All right, thanks. And now we'll come back to Dr. Omobolaji. Parents watching and people watching, and they've been asking that there are telltale signs, for you to know that your child is going through, such maybe an abuse or onto something, as lewd or untoward as we're dealing with at the moment. So maybe perhaps you should also help us here so that people can start looking and seeing if they have a problem, that they should be, given some form of attention to.
Okay, one of the things I want to say about the Nigerian family is this. We tend to be somewhere where we're too blessed to be abused. There's a lot of positive thinking, which, as a matter of fact, is needed to get along with all the problems in this society. But sometimes when you start to talk to parents, it seems as if they don't believe it's happening in their home, they believe it can't happen in their home, or they prayed hard enough and they think it can't come near them. You know what, we all pray. We all hope it doesn't come near us, but we also have to use our brains and the statistics. The statistics show that 1 in 4 and 1 in 9 will be abused, and the perpetrators are usually people they're close to. They're people within their inner circle.
They're usually not strangers.
They're not strangers. And so, therefore, in an age-appropriate way, we have to take the time to educate our kids in terms of what is good touch, what is bad touch. When they get older, start talking to them in an age-appropriate language about sexuality and sex. As they get older, when they understand more, you tell them more. If you are not talking to them, they will learn it from outside. And unfortunately, the version outside is usually worse than the version, If you're not telling them, they're probably learning from the internet. What are the telltale signs? Change in mood. The child becomes more withdrawn. A child might cry more frequently. A child might not eat. All those symptoms of anxiety or depression, or the child might startle easily, become more fearful. They might change their friends. So you really want to notice, you want to know your children so well that when there's a change in their mood or in their countenance, you're right on top of it. I think what is very important, because we're lacking in tools, we're lacking in personnel in Nigeria. I know that we have a long way to go. I have hope, because the Western world was once the way we were, or the way we are, and eventually they develop policies and procedures. So I think that one thing everybody can easily do that costs nothing is to get educated on the signs and symptoms of abuse, to watch out. Are you leaving your child always in company of that uncle, or is you have female girls and you're not watching that uncle that is always carrying them everywhere? Is it the driver that is supervising your children all the time, or do you have many relatives living in the house and you don't even know when Bomboy goes into your girl's bedroom? Are you maintaining appropriate boundaries? Are you teaching your children to maintain appropriate boundaries in terms of even how they dress, how they interact, how opposite sex or even the same sex can touch them? There are things we can do the way we are right now, and that is to get educated and inform our children. The other thing is to leave that window of communication open. Don't be that scary patient that the first time your child comes, oh, what happened to you? Are you into this now? Are you into... No. When your child comes, listen. And if you don't know, it's okay to ask for help. Listen to your child. If they're talking about their friends, listen to them. You want to also get to know your children's friends. Who are the type of people they're hanging out with? Show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. Are they... There are some children, you see, they're so sexualized already at the age of 9. They're already dressing in such... while I believe that even if a girl exposes themselves, you don't have a right to touch them. But there's some... Look, let's face it. It's biology. A lot of this thing is biology. Somebody who can't control their urges. So a child is half naked and is in the front of a 13-year-old boy who can hardly control his urges. What are you inviting? I'm not saying it's right, but you have to set those boundaries. Those boundaries are there to keep us safe. So from the parents' point of view, you set boundaries, you teach them, you guide them, you ask yourself, this child that's a bit, because children have different personalities. This child that seems to be one that likes to please, is this child right for secondary school boarding house or not? Yes or no? You have to ask yourself that question. it's not every child that would thrive in the boarding house. And then if I'm going to send them to this boarding house, do I know how they take care of discipline? Do I know their policies? And yes, in America, we're reporting now, because I promise you the reporting didn't start, and the people got away with abuse 30, 40, 50 years ago. But as we are beginning to gather and talk about the problem now, they did that 40, 50 years ago. And then they enacted policies 40, 50 years ago. So the more we talk about it, the more we do what we can right where we are, the more we start asking the elected officials, so what are you going to do to protect our children? The more we start to talk about it, demand answers, ask questions, invariably, you'll find out that in schools, they're afraid of some students. If a family who is very rich in Nigeria has 5 children in one school, what do you think the proprietors will do? Do you think he wants the problem of that person's father? Do you think they want to lose that money? But if you have external regulating bodies that can come in and shut the whole school, so you are even still getting some money and you didn't do the proper thing. If you have external regulating body that can sit down and shut down that whole school and hold the people in charge in criminal content of the law, then they'll start to take it seriously. There's some schools that they cannot even talk to some of their students because their parents will hear about it.
Let me go to Laila, then we'll come back and close. And it has to do with help. Now we have, the child or the children so named as victims. And of course, whether we like it or not, we also have a traumatized parent or parents. How can they be helped? I think you have to unmute yourself, please.
The children right now, I believe that focus should be on their mental health, which is a passion for me, on their mental health, no matter what it is. In the homes, I would talk to the parents that, I can only imagine what is going on, how the children would be attacked verbally, all kinds of things. I would say, please take it easy. The harm is already done. Let us get to finding the root cause and then try to stabilize these children because they are in a delicate state of mind right now. They are in a delicate state of mind right now. And I don't think, no matter how bad things seem, it's not worth it if any one of them decides, I can't take this anymore. And, may that not be their portion. Then for the schools, they need to take accountability because I do not understand why male, female children were taken out of the country, such delicate age, and they are able to interact. Yes, it was said, I read something that the caregiver had done their last rounds and made sure everybody was okay in their own space before going off. But what are they doing on the same floor? What are they doing in the same hotel? You see, there are things that you put in place for schools like that. That's not just co-ed schools. So they have goofed. And the thing about schools that are high-powered is that they keep trying to justify themselves. And we're not stupid. People out there are not stupid. They need to take account, be accountable, and make sure that they put in place. I hope that that's what the government is going to discuss at length with them. You understand? And then the children are my concern. The schools too should put in place, as I said earlier, child support consultants to help them. But those children must undergo psychotherapy right now. They must. Maybe they are already, but if they are not, and the parents too as well, because they're going to.
Let me bring in. I'm sorry, we're almost out of time. Sorry, apologies for butting in. Let me bring in Dr. Omobolaji, if we can do this in 2 minutes so that we can close. What form of help should we be looking to give in the children, the parents, and anyone so involved.
Okay. All the children named in this are victims.
They're all victims.
Yes. The perpetrator and the victim, so-called alleged victim, they're all victims. What is a 14 or 13 or 10-year-old doing in such situations? Unfortunately, we also have a society where the name has been exposed. Confidentiality. How come we're talking about this? How come nobody's getting into trouble for spreading these videos around? This is the same reason why people will not come out to ask for help. Because every time you bring out a child and you spread it all over, guess what? Another child who is in the same situation, another parent who is in the same situation will say, if I were to talk, this is how my child's reputation will go out. So we need to, all of them are victims. Somebody exposed somebody somewhere to something. We need to treat everybody. The victim, identified victim, and also the people who got involved in this. They all have to undergo treatment. Secondly, the parents have to probably go into family counseling and parenting classes. There'll be a lot of guilt. You know, they need to talk to someone about that. You know, sometimes the children might end up, if this is not handled on time, statistics show that children that report abuse in the first 30 days are better contained. If you keep it longer, many of them go ahead to develop anxiety disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder. Some of them even get into drinking. And alcohol used to numb some of the effects and the shame associated with it. Because now we're not just talking about a child who has been exposed sexually. Now the whole world knows their story. And as we all know, internet never forgets. So all of them, the different treatments, they might need counseling, they need therapy, they might need medication management. The key thing is just to sit down, listen, and contain this, you know, and stop pointing. For now, why did a child behave this way? We need to understand. And why did the others behave this way? Do they even understand what sexual abuse is?
So lessons that we can learn to actually see how from such lessons we can prevent, you know, others from falling into such. It looks to me that we just might have a continuation of this. Every time it has to do with our community, our family unit, it's never enough time for us to talk about this. At this point in time, I'd like to say thank you for being such nice company, Laila St. Matthew, Daniel, and Dr. Omobolaji, Oyebanjo, Popoola. To all those who would want to catch up on today's show, you can get to find out on the new Central YouTube channel. I'm Sulaiman Aledeh. Thanks for watching.